Hey everyone, so we are getting right into this foundation routine. This is what I've been doing lately. I'm just starting with my Maybelline Master Prime primer, and I think this is the regular one, so I just apply some of that onto my face right out of the tube because it's easier and I don't waste any of the product. And once I have it on, then I'm just going to massage it in with my fingers, and I did wash my hands right before doing this, so just use some clean hands. If you want to know all the products I use, I will have them linked below in the description, so go check that out for a list of everything I used. Once I have that all blended in, and I like to make sure that's a little bit dry, it's not so sticky, I go in with my concealer, and I've been using the LA Girl Pro Conceal, and here I have a darker, like sort of beige color, and I'm kind of using this as a corrector just because of the undertone. It has sort of a like peachy undertone, and it really gets rid of that darkness under my eyes, so I'm just applying that right out of the little container, and make sure to squeeze it. There we go, now we got some coming out. So I apply that onto all the areas where I have darkness or any blemishes. So I did a couple pimples up there, around my nose, around my mouth where I got a little bit of darkness from my pregnancy, and just dotting that over any sort of little blemishes. Then once I have that on, I'm going to go in with another one of the Pro Conceals, and this one's a very lighter color, more like a highlight. I'm just applying it right onto the same areas that I applied the correcting kind of concealer. I like to do this so I can brighten up and kind of match my skin tone a little bit more. And when I blend this in, then they'll mix together and be the perfect color. Since this is my sort of everyday foundation routine, I just go in with my fingers, and I like to use my fingers a lot to blend things. The warmth actually makes it a lot easier to get it blended, and it's nice and quick. So I'm just going to blend all this out with my finger. I kind of start on my blemishes around my face, and then I work my way to my eyes. I like to let the concealer kind of dry a little bit, which gives you a little bit more coverage. So there's another little makeup quick tip. If you leave your concealer kind of sit on your skin for a while, it'll actually dry and it won't blend out to nothing. It'll actually give you a little bit more coverage, so I like to do that. So once I have my concealer blended out as much as I'm gonna blend it, I am going in with my foundation, and this is the L'Oreal True Match foundation, and this is absolutely my #1 favorite foundation. It has great coverage, it is so easy to blend out, and it's from the drugstore, nice and cheap. So I'm just applying that with my finger. It looks like I'm using a lot, but I'm really not, because I'm only getting some on like the flat surface of my finger. So I'm really not using as much as it looks. So then I'm grabbing this flat top foundation brush, and this one is, I'm pretty sure, from Coastal Scents. I wanted to show you guys how soft it is because it is not very dense. This is it looks comparable to the flat top kabuki brush from Sigma, but it is way softer. It's not as dense. So I go in and I start patting that in at first to kind of get the foundation all over my skin, and then once I have it patted in, then I go in and start doing kind of circular motions, and this will help kind of melt it into my skin and blend it really nicely. So you can see I pat, 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 and then I go in circular motions and blend it. And I also like to go over my eyelids and kind of help blend that concealer, because I didn't do, I didn't go crazy blending it with my fingers. So with the brush, I kind of finish blending it and it all melts together. So my under eyes were still looking a little dark, so I'm going in with the concealer that I used earlier, and this is a little bit of a darker color, so I'm just applying a tiny bit more of that under my eyes where I have some darkness from lack of sleep due to a newborn. So I'm just applying a little bit of that, and then I'm just going to go in with my foundation brush again and just pat it in, and then once I have it sort of patted in, then I will kind of go in circular motions to blend that out. I usually don't add any more concealer, but today I totally needed it, so that is what I did. For my powder, I'm using the Rimmel Stay Matte Powder. This is just the translucent shade. So it says it doesn't have a color, but it absolutely has a color. I like to use it because it really does highlight wherever I apply it. So I am using a little powder puff that I got from Sephora, and I like to really press the powder into my under eye area. This really gives a little bit more coverage, and it sets my concealer and foundation, and it actually decreases the amount of creasing that I get. So I don't get hardly any creasing at all unless it's a really long day where I'm wearing makeup for like 12 to 15 hours. But when I do this, it really does not give me any creasing. So once I have my under eyes really pressed in there and done, I like to also press this powder on the areas that I would normally crease, so in between my eyebrows and around my smile lines and mouth, and that just again helps with the creasing and like the makeup separating. So then for the rest of my face, I'm going to use the same powder with a powder brush, and then I just start off by dabbing it on so I don't move the foundation. And then once I have it all patted in, then I go in circular motions kind of to perfect it and make it look airbrushed, and it looks awesome. So definitely recommend doing that whenever you are powdering. To bronze slash and or contour, I am using the NYX Contour and Highlight palette with this bigger kind of more oval powder brush, and this brush is from Crown Brushes. So I'm taking the lightest color in the palette, and I'm going to start to bronze my face. I don't really like to contour. I kind of put it where you contour, but since I use this really big brush, it is more of a bronze. So I start off right on the hollows of my cheeks, and I kind of go back and forth and kind of push the brush in to blend it out, and then I go up onto my forehead just so everything is kind of balanced, because if you just put bronzer on your cheeks, then everything else is like super pale. So I go onto my cheekbones and then my forehead. Once I have that on, then I use that little bit of a darker shade right next to the light shade, and I apply more, and I keep that kind of closer to my hairline, not so much forward, and that kind of creates a nice little blend between the first light color and the second color. So I hit my jawline as well with that, and I kind of blend it down to my neck, so again we don't have any harsh lines. I do a little bit under my lower lip, and then I also like to do my nose, again just so there's balance and it's not like a super pale invisible nose. Then really quickly I just use my powder brush to go over everything and blend it. I like to blend, it's my favorite thing to do, so I like to go over everything and just make sure that there are no lines. For blush, I have been obsessed with this cute little Tarte blush. This is called Party with 3 A's, of course, and this is like a really pretty mauvey pink. So I'm just applying my blush with an angled blush brush. This one is also from Crown Brush. I love them. They are so good and hardly shed, and they last forever. I've washed them multiple times and they're cheap, so I really like them. So once I have my blush on, I put some on my nose as well, just for a little color, and then I go back in with my powder brush. I always get that messed up. So I just blend everything together so it's nice and smooth. To highlight my face, I am using the Becca and JaclynHill face palette highlighter. I'm using the Prosecco Pop color, which is like the pink shade. And I'm just going to apply this on the top of my cheekbones and also to my cupid's bow and the tip of my nose. I just like to highlight basically all the places. So once I have that on, again, I go in with my powder brush and just blend it all out so there are no harsh lines. So that is my foundation routine when I am wearing makeup. Sometimes I actually do a little less when I'm doing the kind of no makeup kind of makeup look, but this is what I do on a regular basis. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If you liked it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!